Well, good afternoon again, Gary. In our last interview, we discussed the imminent discussions with the out-of-contract players following on from the positive news that the club will be offering them new deals. Are you able to give us any update on that situation at all?
Yeah, I can give you an update, Dom. It's good timing on your part. Well done, mate. Yeah, we made offers to all players, barring three. One was obviously Ryan Dixon, who'd left us anyway at around about January time to go and play at Truro, and he knew that obviously that would be the end of his contract at Torquay. Josh Baxter, who was only on a non-contract, and we just felt that he needed to go out and find some first-team football. And unfortunately for Jared Lewington as well. I know he was only with us for a year. I had to make a decision as to whether I would be playing him in the first team and whether he would be a 30-goal-a-year man, get us into the Football League, because as a striker, that's what we would have needed. And I couldn't guarantee him first-team football, so we had a chat, and we felt it was best for him to find pastures new, because otherwise he'd be, he's of the age now where he needs to be playing and not being on the bench or not in the squad, for example, or even a dozen games or half a dozen games a season. So we spoke about it, and we've decided that he needs to go somewhere that he can get all those options, i.e. games. And then, so all the others had offers. Two came back and said that they didn't want to sign. Unfortunately, one of them was Reedy, and he felt, I think, that it was nothing to do with the offer. Of course, the club actually done everything we could to keep him. Where are you going to find another 30-goal a season man? Well, we're going to try, and I've had to do that all my career, so we will find one. But when one's in-house, you don't really want to lose them. So, myself and George Edwards did all we could, right up to the last minute, actually, up until sort of not yesterday, the day before, where we was getting texts backwards and forwards to him. And anyway, he decided with his representative that he felt it was the right time to find pastures new, as he'd had a couple of good seasons, and he's done very well for us, and I think he just wants to go and see whether he's got a league club out there. I don't think anything's absolutely fixed just yet, because it can't be, with all the shenanigans and all the problems in football and the Football League not knowing what they're doing or when they're going to start. So nobody's taking on players with new contracts. So him and his representative are taking a little bit of a risk, but that's what he wanted to do. So unfortunately, as I say, the club did all it could. We tried to keep him, but he was very obviously he's been a Torquay supporter. He loved the club. He said he's enjoyed his last couple of seasons. Obviously, the goals he scored, etc. We gave him the opportunity to do that with the players that we brought in around him and the chances we created. And it's happened to me a few times over the 30 years of management where, I find a striker from nowhere that might not be scoring goals, but I look at their technique and see whether I think I can make him into a goal scorer. And I've done that a few times, and Reedy's one of those. And then always you lose them in the end, because eventually they want to find a bit, higher club, whether that be for finance or whatever. But as I say, it's a bit precarious at the moment out there. So I hope him and his representative get what they are looking for, and it's not necessarily financial. I think it's him finding a league club somewhere to give him a chance to play in the league. We tried to convince him it would be us very soon, but he acknowledged that thanks for trying, but I've sort of made my mind up. So we moved. The second one was Kalala, Calvin Kalala. And unfortunately, he ended up, finding himself an agent who said that he could find him a much higher league to play in. Calvin's got everything. He's got everything, but there's some things that he needs to work on that we thought, given another year with us, we could have probably got it out of him. But I think our supporters know what I'm talking about. And but you know, he decided quite early that he wouldn't be taking up the offer. He thanked us for the opportunity, which obviously we gave him from a trial that Pete saw him in. You know, 2 seasons ago, I took him to Cheltenham. He's still got a little bit to do, but he's the potential in him is unbelievable. If somebody can get it out of him, I would have liked to have been that person, but you know, he chose, and his representative chose to you know, take him elsewhere. So we'll see, you know, where they end up. But we wish him well, because they've been part of what we've done, a good part of what we've done. And you're always going to lose some people some of the time. So now we have to be positive with the ones that we've still got. We've got 7 players. Everyone else has agreed, by the way, their deals. It's just crossing the T's and dotting the I's at the moment. I'm freaking over my pad because of all the negotiations that went on, and my brain's a bit scrambled at the minute. But I'm pleased to say we've kept, you know, 7 of the pros that had regular games. That's Wicks, Whitfield, Ben Winter, Liam Davis, Carl Cameron, Asa Hall, Sean McDonald, and Matty Buse. And then we've got 3 already on contract, which was Lucas, Amani Little, and Jake Andrews. And of course, we got 2 young lads in, Louis Slough and Olaf, that you know, will be coming through. Unfortunately, those 2 have had a few problems off the field that they, not, you know, bad problems. Louis had a fractured back, and Olaf had a few problems that he had to deal with, and he's grown up probably because of it. And they'll come decent next year, hopefully. But so I'm really pleased with that group of lads. That adds up to I think, what was that, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I think we're going to need to go out and get probably 4 new signings, which we think we can get. You know, when Reedy and Kalala first told us, we knew we had to make a quick play for identifying, you know, getting players with that ability. So we've got names in mind when it all settles down and we can go and find people. So I've always found strikers after strikers have left me. So I look forward to, and I hope everyone will look forward to the next one we bring in, because it will be a goal scorer, of course, which is what we need. We've probably got the best 2 fullbacks in the league, in my opinion, in Liam Davis and Ben Winter. I was really pleased when Whitfield signed. There was a lot of interest in him, and you know, and he lives up north. You know, his family are up north in Bradford or Sheffield, wherever it is. So, you know, that was lovely to get him, because he enjoyed his season. He said it was the best season that he enjoyed, and you know, he wanted to stay with us. So that was good news. Kyle and Sean, there's still more to come from them, but they've gained great experience, and they'll be better for it next year. Ace is your captain on and off the field. You know, he's a great lad to have around, the experience. We've got Busey. Unfortunately, his injury came at the wrong time, because he was playing well at the time. Remember his winning goal against AFC Fylde. You know, it was a great header right at the end. And just looking over there, and of course, you know, Jake Andrews, Amani Little, and they're quality players that I'm really pleased that, you know, they were on contract, so there was no problems with them. But they're looking forward to their new teammates, if you like, and their old ones, of course. And then Lucas will be better for it as well, because it would have been the first time he would have played at our level. So there's more positives, and I'm really pleased that the club has done what it's done, Dom. I know I'm going on a little bit, but it's really important that these boys knew that they had a contract. Everywhere else at the moment, people that are out of contract are guessing, and they really are guessing. So our club has, for the future, has decided to keep these lads that we work with, and you know, all these lads. And the fact that they've agreed means that they're happy, comfortable here, and I can't wait for that lot to get together again. Being sort of taking on the loyal side of it, and their families are a little bit more happy because they know there's a wage coming in for the next year, even in this current state. So it's going over their names and that. I'm quite excited because I know what we're going to bring in. It'll be, as I say, 4 new signings, probably 3 loans, 3 or 4 loans, and we'll have a squad again. So I forgot Aaron Nemain in that list. Sorry, he's also agreed to sign for us as well. So yeah, so good news. That's I think that's eight older players, and then Luis Lau, Olaf is 9 and 10, and we just have to keep adding to that, which we will.
Great. So obviously very positive that the majority of the squad is getting in place for next season. Obviously, we thank all of the departing players for their contributions during what's been, a fantastically successful time for the club. Although it's always disappointing when the odd player does look for opportunities elsewhere. Like you've already touched upon, Gary, this is something that you've been through many times before, and it's not unheard of for you to lose somebody that scored 20, 30 goals, and you've actually gone and replaced them, with much success in the past.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, it's when it first happens in your early part of your career, when you've brought somebody into the club that nobody really knows, because obviously all my clubs were not flushed with money, as it were, but you work with them, you bring them in, you show an interest in them, you see that they've got some ability, you bring it out, and then you lose them. So that's why sometimes when you get your promotion and then you lose some players, and you have to keep replenishing and still keep the quality in the player that you bring in. So that's where, like, my brother Pete comes in all year. He's working at getting a list together and of players that are possibles. All the games he goes to, probably easily 4 games a week. And Downsy, of course, with his contacts, he knows a lot of people. So it's not something that frightens us now because we've done it so many times. But we've had, when I was at Cheltenham, we lost Billy Waters, we lost Harry Pell. When I was at Yeovil and got into the Championship, we lost Paddy Madden, who come from an Irish league club, got in the goals. He scored the winner for us at Wembley to go up. He eventually moved on. People like Kiefer Moore I got from Dorchester, and he came to Yeovil. Adam Stansfield come from a Sunday League club, God bless him, and he came and done fantastic for us in our first season in the conference at Yeovil. So it happens. I mean, even to the point where I convinced Cambridge as an assistant manager to bring in Dion Dublin, and decided and asked them. I said, look, I was assistant manager. I said to Becky, who was manager at the time, I think he could be a centre forward because he's strong in the air, he's quick, blah blah blah. And we ended up him going for $1 million to Man United. Also, of course, we had a great result with bringing in Mo Issa at Cheltenham and signing him he got his 20-odd, 30-odd goals and ended up going for $1 million as well. And he came from non-league as well, down the pecking order sort of thing. So trust us, we'll find somebody that will score goals for us, because with Kalala gone and Reedy gone, we've probably lost 30, 40 goals a year that we've got to make up. But some of them other lads will step up, but we will bring in 4 or 5 new ones.
Yeah, like you just said, I mean, it does give that opportunity to players within the squad and also outside the squad in players that you'll bring in. There's going to be a lot of players that are going to be out of contract, and it's going to be a nervous time for those. Obviously, that presents opportunities for all clubs that are looking to bring in players. Do you think that squad's going to be smaller for next season? Do you envisage that, or how do you see it panning out?
I envisage clubs cutting the cloth accordingly, because the ones that have been waiting for the playoffs, they're still having to decide whether they're going to make offers to their contract players. Players that are not in contract, if they do have the players, so they've got to decide whether they actually want to play and risk getting injured and not having a contract for next year anywhere if they're injured. So there's a lot of talking to be done and a lot of soul searching. So I think clubs will definitely try and cut their squads down. But I also think in a month's time, there's going to be many, many players out of contract looking for a job. And if they're not furloughed now, then they don't get their money in May and June. And if the season doesn't start till after that, then clubs are not going to pay people, before the season starts or pre-season training starts. So some of them are taking a risk, the ones that have left themselves with a risk, but others wouldn't have chosen to take the risk, but clubs may not be taking them on. So, because they don't particularly want to pay them from now until the season starts, if you like, which our club has done. So I think in a week or two's time, when everybody's made the decisions as to whether the games are going to be played, what's happening with these contracts, there'll be a lot of players out there that, will be looking for work, and it'll be them and their families that, I feel sorry for. It's not anybody's fault. It's the pandemic that we've got. So, but it's a worrying time for footballers at the moment at our level.
And we've touched upon it before, but I don't think it harms saying it again. This is the beauty of the club acting so quickly with these situations, these negotiations, and with the players, that have been offered deals that are accepted. It can only strengthen the camaraderie amongst the group that they are all set in place when football resumes again.
Well, that's the big thing. It takes you a little while to get a group that get on, but are still competitive. That's the main thing. So if you can get a group of people that are all comfortable with each other, there's no sort of real rivalries necessarily. Obviously, they've got to be competitive. They've got to compete for a place, but they all get on and they're all mates. And that's the big thing. If you're going to bring everybody down to Torquay, which obviously more or less you have to, because you can't have Ben travelling from Bradford and the two boys travelling from up north somewhere, travelling from Gateshead or Newcastle, Sean and Kyle. You know what I mean? So you're trying to create that affinity with the players, so that affinity then moves on to the supporters, and the supporters start getting an affinity with the players, and then when you've got that and everybody's rooting for each other, you've got a very powerful club. That is what it is. I trust the board, they trust me, the players trust the supporters trust the players, all that sort of thing. Then you've got a powerful movement. And that's, if you was to ask me, which might have been your next question, no, it probably wasn't, as to why what has been the reasons for the promotions previously, is because we've managed to get a group of people together that get on and that believe in what the club are doing, believe in what the manager does, believe in what their players are doing alongside it. And as I say, that's massive. And I think we've got that. So I'm so pleased we've kept the majority of the lads, because that gives you the group that people have got to come into. And I promise you, we will be stronger for that. We will definitely be stronger for that. And we've got to make sure that the people that we do get on our bus, as I always say, can fit in with this group. And we do a lot of work, a hell of a lot of work on finding out about people before we bring them in. There's lots of things we do. I won't give you the secrets of the tricks of the trade, as it were, but myself, Pete and Downsy, by the time they come in, we know pretty much everything that we need to know about. And, we've got people in the game that they would have played with, and managers that we know that they've played with, so on and so forth, and their Twitter accounts and all that. If there's a picture of him with a fag and a pint in his hand, living in Magaluf, then that's probably not the one you want, because that's the picture he wants. We want the one of the lad's knee sliding, or striking the ball in the back of the net or something. So anyway, I've already told you what we look at now. But it's good for the supporters to know that the people we bring in, we want to make sure that they can have an affinity with.
Right. And having, it's also another point to look at the progress the club's made. Having been in the National League South, obviously the 6th tier when you initially joined the club, and having now aspirations to return to the EFL, obviously the 4th tier, players coming and going is very much part of the evolution of football, with squads changing to reflect the new challenges that lie ahead.
Yes, and as I say, there's never one year that you can keep exactly the same squad year after year for whatever reason. And sometimes it's the club's reasons where they move them on. But that, you've got to treat the club as a continuing a club in progress, if you like, and you've got to keep going on that progress route. If you don't and you're standing still, then you're going backwards. That's what I always say as well. Yeah. So it's always trying to find that player that can take you to the next level. You don't suddenly bring in 11 Wayne Rooney sort of thing. You know what I mean? You might not want Wayne Rooney at I don't know, but anyway, you know what I mean. And so it's important that you keep building, and you can build now off 10 or 11. Whereas if we were left with 3 or 4, then you're rebuilding definitely, because the ones that are coming in become the bigger group. So that's over the years, it's making sure and not panicking about, oh dear, we've only got 10 players, because I've got a great chief scout in Pete. It's not just because he's my brother. He wouldn't have got away with it all these years if it was a nepotism thing. And it's quite exciting, some of the names that have come up. And as soon as we know, and as soon as the season gets going again, i.e. pre-season, at that point then you can start saying who you've got coming in for sure, because we got to know when the pre-season is going to start, and we got to know when the season is going to start, which we don't know yet. But when it does start, we'll be strong. Yeah,
it's very encouraging to hear that all of those conversations and looking at players, and that's all going on behind the scenes, even though there's no action out on the field at the moment. Now, 2 players that you did mention, 2 young players that you mentioned earlier on, Louis Slough and Olaf Casella. How is obviously great to hear that they're still going to be a part of the club's future. How would you assess their progress over the last 12 months?
Well, they've been a little bit staggered. Louis Slough in particular, because he went from 5'4" to 6'4" in 8 months or something. You know what I mean? It was a slight exaggeration, but he's a big lad, and all of a sudden he shot up. So with the amount of pounding on maybe AstroTurf, but pounding on the ground and all the work done when he hadn't done it, he had a slight fracture in his back. And that takes time to heal. And a couple of times he felt he was okay, tried to come back. And, it was only a slight hairline fracture, but it certainly affected his mobility. So we had to look after him a little bit. So he sort of almost lost half a year, but he'll gain that again as soon as he comes back. But I suppose this pandemic has helped him to recover, same as Liam Davis, Marnie Little, Ben Winter, who've been out a long time. So they'll all be better for it. And I think, he's got every chance of being close to where he needs to be at his age. Now, with Olaf, people have got to remember that, he rips up the youth team games. Well, he scored 9 in one game or something, it don't matter. You've still got to be a goal scorer to put it in the back of the net. People forget that he was only 16, 17 when I started involving him in the Conference South, because I could do that. And he had his league debut, he travels with the squad, he's been on the bench. So he's gained great experience over the last couple of years. Olaf is a fantastic finisher. He's just got to naturally grow up, become that professional. He is a professional in his mind, but he's a bit quiet. He sort of lets other people get on with it. Well, I'm hoping that this year he can kick on, and I'm sure he will, because he's got the ability, and he just needs that opportunity, and he'll be, with everyone else and competing for a place as we get into pre-season, and he'll be hopefully trying very hard to win a first team spot. But he's still only 17, 18 now. You know what I mean? So he's still very young for the competition we're in, the national league. But as soon as he's ready, he'll get his run, and so will Louis. And I think you'll find they're two very good players for the future.
Yeah, two really exciting prospects, and great news for the club having them on board. Well, I think that brings things to a close for today, Gary. Thank you very much for giving us the update. I'm sure there'll be more news coming out in the coming days, coming weeks, and all of that. But thanks again, Gary, and also everybody watching at home.
Yeah, sorry, Don. I'm just to go over it. The lads that we've made offers to have all agreed. So that's, people need to know that. So that's good. But the time it'll be registered in the next sort of 2 or 3 days, obviously, once we get back the forms, because obviously the logistics of sending out the forms, sending the forms back to the club with nobody getting within 6 foot of anyone is a logistical nightmare. But the big thing is I'm happy that they've all agreed, and so is the club, and so are they. So we got some happy bunnies, hopefully, that are looking forward to the start of the season.
Good. It's another challenge that the club is finding itself in with these current restrictions in place, but it sounds like everything is going very much to plan at the moment. But thank you again, Gary, and as ever, everybody, take care, keep safe.
Yeah, I hope they're all well.
And we will speak to you all again very, very soon.